Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Rangers Review Q&A show. It's been a little while since we've recorded one of these, so apologies for that. I was off on holiday last week, but we're back in business and, here to answer as many of your Rangers questions as I possibly can. As ever, I popped out the link in the community page, and you guys have delivered a number of questions, so we'll address those first of all, and then we'll tackle the ones on the side of my screen. At the moment, there is no questions there, so if you want to get your questions in, then please do so. Got a lot of new subscribers, members to the Rangers Review Extra channel as well. So thank you, first of all, for supporting us here at the Rangers Review. And for those of you that are new, this show is all about you guys. So send your questions in, and I'll try and give my response the best as I can. So without much further ado, we'll tackle the first one. Comes in with the wonderful username at 99037149. It says, or she says, can we realistically shift players before the window closes and then replace them with better options? Good question. I think Philip Clement's comments last week in his press conference where he said that players have to leave before players come in pretty much sums up Rangers' transfer state of play at this moment in time. Can they shift those players on? He says he can't hold a gun to their heads at this moment in time. A lot of them are in good contracts, and it's whether they can find clubs that will pay them pretty much what they're on at Ibrox and pay what Rangers are looking for. The players that their club are looking to shift on. Those players I touched on in the morning briefing. No surprises to know that the likes of Yanni and Todd Cantwell are looking to move on. There'll be one or two others as well. I know Robbie has been linked with a move away. Whether Rangers can get him out the door remains to be seen. But realistically, I think that the fact that Rangers aren't in the Champions League anymore was going to impact whether they can bring in players before the window closes. And it's up to those players to move on. If they don't move on, then I can't see much business being carried out between now and the window, unfortunately. And as we touched on this morning, I think there are several areas of the pitch Rangers still need to strengthen in. I don't think left back is one. I know that the title of this video is do Rangers need to sign another left back? That's because a Croatian has been linked with the club over the weekend. Reports in Italy suggest that the player by the name of Domagoj Bradaric is said to be on Rangers' radar on a loan deal. He plays for Salernitana in Italy, left back. Of course, I think this has been heightened with the injury to Ridvan Yilmaz. For me personally, I don't think Rangers need to be looking at the left back options at this moment in time. There are other pressing areas of concern that the club, for me, have to look to address in this transfer window. But the question whether they can realistically shift players on before the window closes and replace them with better options, who knows at this moment in time. I would like to have thought, that Clement's comments on Cantwell, I was at that Birmingham City game, was 3 weeks ago now. So you'd have liked to have thought that he could have been moved on before now, but it's not been the case. Whether that maybe speeds up as the days trickle by towards the close of the window, who knows? But as a concern, there's no doubt about it. The transfer issue at the moment in time for Rangers, I don't think this squad is good enough as it currently stands to win the league, and it could be in for quite a difficult campaign if reinforcements aren't brought in. Right, Kenny JBY gets in touch. What do you think the issue is with transfers? Has their transfer budget been affected by the elite court case and Ibrox building delays? Is there inability to get players out due to no director of football, or are we paying them too much and no other team can match it? It sort of ties in with the previous question. Yep, I think certain players are on very good contracts. Other teams, I know that Fiorentina, reports in Italy suggested that they had reached personal terms with Yannis Hadji, but they hadn't met Rangers' valuation for him. Similarly, James Tavernier, I think it's all gone quiet there. Trabzonspor were said to have agreed terms with him, but they hadn't matched Rangers' fee that they were looking for. And Cantwell, we know his agent was trying to sort of offer him to other clubs. Lecce, as we know, that the famous Instagram message where he was offering a couple of players to the Lecce, well, who he thought was the Lecce owner, I think it was, or their scout there, and turned out not to be the case, but a fan site instead. So, I think that is part of it. In terms of the budget, elimination to Dynamo Kiev has certainly affected that. The building delays, I'm not too sure how much that will affect the transfer budget, but I imagine it may have some bearing on it. And the court case, I know that murmurings, well, it's reported that Rangers have settled out of court with regards to that elite, looking for just under £10 million, wasn't it? £9.5 million. And they came to an agreement for much, much less than that. But listen, the manager touched on it. There is no money there to go out and spend lavish sums on players at this moment in time. We do need to rely on players departing before reinforcements can be brought in. It's I know that many supporters, it's a depressing state of affairs, unfortunately, at this moment in time. Rangers aren't flush with cash. And the squad is bloated, it's heavy, there's players that don't want to be there, and they need to be moved on before we can look at fresh blood being brought in. I think Czerny certainly will add quality. Robin Proper, of course, will add quality, I'm sure. Good news with regards to him coming off at the weekend. The manager says it shouldn't be something that will be of a serious nature, so that is at least pleasing. But it's typical Rangers, isn't it? New signing and breaks down in the first couple of games. But I think there's no doubt about it. More quality additions need to be brought in before the window closes. Just off the back of that, Kenny says, if nobody is sold in this window, do you see any way back into the squad for Cant, Hadji or Lowry? Or are they doomed to the B team and training themselves until January? It shows that players have all the control when it comes to running down their contracts. Yeah, absolutely. Player power, of course, is huge now. And listen, my opinion on Cant, Hadji and Lowry is they are Rangers employees. And as much as Cantwell has submitted a transfer request, they are still being paid by Rangers. So for me, I would be using them until they get moved on. I think Yannis Hadji would certainly provide a good option for Rangers at this moment in time. Likewise, Todd Cantwell, I would like to see them included in the first team squad. Now, that would take a come down from the manager, of course. But for me, whilst they are on the payroll, then there's no use for me just having them play for the B team and training with the B team as well. I would like to see them getting involved in Rangers using them until they are moved on. But let us know in the comments, folks, if you agree or disagree with that. I think those players can certainly contribute, and at this moment in time, Rangers need a bit of quality. There's no doubt in their talent, incidentally. They do want to move on, but if they are fit and available, then they should be used, in my opinion. Jonathan Hughes, 586, gets in touch. Hi, Jonathan. He says, is it time to accept we cannot compete financially and need to now embark upon a rebuild, restructure as a club? In parallel to this, why has the training centre been such a failure? This should have provided income and first-team players. Yes, well, I remember when Rangers built the training centre, it was Dick Advocat and David Murray at the helm at the time. Dick very much calling for a training centre. I think it was long overdue. Rangers for years training in the Albion, of course, across the road and all sorts of places. I think it was important that Rangers built their own training centre at the time. I think we all envisaged it would be like a sort of Ajax Mark II and would get this conveyor belt of talent coming through, and Rangers would bring so many young players in and sell them on for big profits. It's not really materialised that way. You could probably count on one hand the amount of players that have came through the academy and Rangers have sold for big money. Certainly it's something that has to improve upon. I know we've discussed it on videos before about the B team and the future of the academy. Of course, Seb Jacobs is left. There's no academy director at the helm at this moment in time. I think the training centre as a standalone centre is brilliant, but the academy situation, I think, needs a proper proper look at it, because like I said, the amount of players that are coming through the youth ranks at Rangers are few and far between. We do know about the pressure at playing for a club like Rangers, as unlike many other clubs across the planet. But still, just off the top of my head, like Barry Ferguson, he came through before the academy was Murray Park was built. Nathan Patterson is one Rangers sold for a bit of cash. Who else came through the academy Rangers sold on? A number of players came through and left either on a freebie or whatever, and embarked on really good careers. John Fleck, of course, being one of them. Alan Hutton, I think, came through the academy, didn't he? And it certainly went on and had a good career. Rangers sold him for big money to Tottenham. But you'd like to see more youngsters coming through and making it at a club at Rangers in the first team as well. There's a crux of players. We touched on it in the previous question from Kenny about Alex Lowry. I don't know if it's going to happen for him at Rangers. Likely that he will depart this window, I'd imagine. But you've got guys on the fringes, Cole Mckin and Robbie Fraser, who's just signed a new deal. And Zach Lovelace, of course, I would like to see more of him. You've got Leon King there, Adam Devine. I'm not too sure it's going to happen for him. I think I would like to see more coming through the academy, and I think it's something the club need to address. But the point there is, it's time to accept we cannot compete financially and need to now embark upon a rebuild, restructure as a club. I think that is very much it, hitting the nail on the head there, Jonathan. There was a comment a few weeks ago saying that should we just accept this is going to be a transitional season, and it's looking like it may be that. If Rangers cannot bring in, I think they need 3 or 4 proper first-teamers, players of real quality before the window shuts, then I think we're in for a bit of a rough ride this season. We just need to accept it, unfortunately. I think it's going to take a few windows before we can get a squad that the fans can look at and go, this is a squad that is very much capable of bringing the league title back to Ibrox. So listen, there's still a couple of weeks, 2 weeks on Friday, I think the window shuts. There is still time, of course, but there's a realisation that we could be in for a bit of a rough road ahead. Good question, Jonathan. Thank you for that. Quantum Skyline gets in touch. I'm happy to wait until the end of the transfer window before we assess where we are as a squad. I think there is a lot of work still being done. Do you feel confident that we will look in a much better position by the time the window closes? Do I feel confident? No. I've got to say, given the manager's comments last week, all dependent on players leaving, of course. You'd like to think that they've got targets lined up to replace those that could possibly be heading out the door. At this moment in time, this squad isn't good enough. It's all very much dependent on a bit of activity, outgoings, and Rangers identifying players that can come in and make an improvement to the first team and step in and really improve that first 11. We don't need project players. They brought them in at the start of the window. Need players, ready-made players that can come in and really contribute from the off. Confidence levels, I've got to say, I'm not entirely confident Rangers will be able to improve the squad enough that you feel we can go on and win the title. But I get your point. There is still just over 2 weeks to go until the window shuts. Let's hope we see a bit of activity before then. Right, let's get to the questions that have popped in on the side of my screen here. Keith Wright gets in touch. Please not another left back. With our limited resources, we have far more important areas we have to strengthen. Here, Keith. Yeah, totally agree on the left back situation. Listen, if Robbie Fraser, if the hierarchy at Ibrox feel that Robbie Fraser is deserving of a 3-year contract, a new deal, as a 3-year or a 2-year, a new deal in effect that he has signed, then he should be good enough to feature at left back. Jefty has been brought in as well. I think his best position, incidentally, is further up the pitch. Thought he was good at the weekend, but I'm quite content with those two options at left back. Ben Davies can play at left back if need be as well. So I wouldn't be feeling, despite Ridvan's injury, that is an area of real concern. There are other pressing areas that need to be addressed. You can't do that. Gets in touch just off the back of that as well. Do we need a left back? Yep. Is it the most pressing issue? Absolutely not. So that is where he stands on that. Craig Gallagher with the point here. Where is your opinion? Do we strengthen in the team first? Right. If it's up to me, if Rangers need to bring in a bit of quality, one area of the pitch more than any other, where am I strengthening? I would say the number 10. Well, Philip Clement is insistent on playing a number 10. So for me, if he's wanting to do that, he needs an upgrade on what is there at the moment. So probably a proper number 10. I would like Rangers to go out and get a Lennon Miller into the building. I think he would improve the first team for me. And sort of number 10, attacking midfielder for me is the player, the position I'd like to see Rangers strengthen. I know that forward line is another area of concern, whether Danilo can recover. I know it's good to see him, incidentally, start the game at the weekend. He's still a way off from, being back at full fitness. I think Cyril Dessers has proven that he is robust, resolute, and you can rely on him. I know you'll have fans tearing their hairs out over the course of the season, but I know we discussed him on the video this morning about whether an offer comes in. Would you allow Dessers to leave? But I think it would be, you'd have to factor in that Rangers would have to bring in a ready-made replacement and someone that can come in and you can hang your hat on that will get you upwards of 20, 25 goals a season. Stevie mentioned it this morning. He's got 3 goals already this season. I think you'll probably hit 20 plus this term as well. So I don't think that is as much as he frustrates it and he annoys at times. I think Rangers need to strengthen elsewhere. And I know there's question marks as well. And touched on Danilo, Dessers, Hamza Igaman, we haven't seen yet. We've just seen images of him in training. And I know there are question marks over whether Rangers spending a chunk of cash on a Moroccan that's not ready to play, whether that was at the right move. I think we need to see him in action first before we can make a proper assessment. And unfortunately, we haven't been able to see him in a Rangers jersey as yet. Whether we'll see him, who knows? But I think a number 10 would be the area I'd like Rangers to strengthen because Philip Clement is insistent on playing with that sort of playing that system at this moment in time. I've said it before, I'd scrap it. I don't think Rangers have a mobile enough number 10 to carry out that role effectively. But the manager is the man at the helm. That's why he's paid the big bucks, and that's why Rangers will be going with the number 10 from here on in, I would imagine. Right, you can't do that. Gets back in touch. Full of questions today. Says, Derek, do you think Dessers can convert enough chances to win the league as our first team striker? As I touched on earlier, I don't think this squad is good enough to win the league. As Dessers will get goals, I've no doubt about that. Whether he can convert enough chances, I think maybe problems elsewhere. I don't think the team, the squad is strong enough all over the park for me. That certainly areas midfield, I don't have too many concerns about. Hopefully Nico Raskin is back soon as well. I mean, injuries is something that's already affected the team. We've seen Oscar Cortez out, Ridvan Yilmaz is out, so already thought I've seen that. Well, we hoped we'd seen the end of that after not only last season but seasons gone by. But already we've got 2 players out for weeks. Raskin's another one that's been out for a number of weeks already. So I don't think it's necessarily going to be if Dessers can convert the chances to Rangers win the league. I think there needs to be a splattering of quality throughout before we can feel right. This team and squad is ready to go on and challenge Celtic and go all the way. Colin Mustard says, disagree if you don't want, this is on Cantwell and Hadji. Disagree if they don't want to play for us, they won't put in 100%. Give the shirts to those who want to play. Get your point on that one, buddy. I just have an issue with the club paying these guys money and just having them playing for the B team. I think if they're available, even though they don't want to play for the club, I would be tempted to have them at least involved in the first team until they are moved on. You can't do that as well. And Cantwell, he's burned his bridges for sure. no way back. Yeah, there you go. Denzel gets in touch. The whole situation is very worrying. With the current squad, we win nothing, but that might not be our biggest problem. Lack of personnel, stadium and board that seems unfit for purpose. It's a view, Denzel, and I'm sure many supporters feel the very same way. Now, I know that Ali McCoist has come out with some interesting comments this morning as well on Talk Sport. I'll read you what you had to say. He said that I'm genuinely devastated at what's going on at my club. The recruitment, goalkeeper and Dujon Sterling aside, has been unbelievably poor. They have given money to people to spend who haven't spent it wisely at all. We're not even playing our home games at Ibrox now. I've seen it in the last couple of games. There's big gaps at Hampden. That's not where Rangers should be. On the pitch, we're miles off it. It breaks my heart to say it. And off the pitch as well, we've got an unbelievable amount of work to do. There doesn't seem to be any leadership. The previous chief executive has gone to Saudi Arabia, and I'm not sure about the job he did. The fact of the matter is, Rangers aren't a Champions League team at this moment in time. It is worth mentioning we saw one of the worst refereeing decisions in years, which did have an influence on a game of such importance. That aside, Rangers are short at this moment in time. There's no way Rangers could handle the Champions League. And he continued, there was a few quid spent on players, 3 million and 4 million here and there, that weren't for me or the Rangers supporters. We've got problems and they have to be addressed as soon as possible. I have genuine sympathy for Philippe Clement because at this moment in time, it's pretty clear he has got to get a few out the door before he can get any in. The fact of the matter is the squad at this moment in time, sadly, isn't good enough to win the league. We are a Europa League, Conference League team. It's as simple as that. In terms of the Scottish Premiership, the best we can hope for is always to win it, and I'm the eternal optimist. But if Rangers win the league, it will be one of their greatest triumphs ever. So there is what Ali McCoist had to say on TalkSport this morning. Damning, but can't disagree with any of it, I've got to admit. And yeah, as I touched on earlier, we could be in for a pretty rough season ahead if quality additions aren't added. And he's right about the stadium situation. The whole thing, there's concerns not only on the pitch but off the pitch as well. So Denzel and Ali, totally agree with everything you have to say. Just on that Champions League decision, by the way, utterly horrendous. Watched the match in Verona. I just wanted to turn off as soon as I seen that call being given. It's a disgrace that we have VAR, but we are not able to use the technology for second yellows. I do not get that whatsoever. I would like to see something brought in that we can utilise the technology for decisions like that, with especially for games of such magnitude. Cost Rangers, in effect, just a little under 5 million euros, not getting into that next round. So yeah, it beggars belief why we have the technology at our disposal, but we cannot check it for shambolic decisions like that. Bluebells Are Blue gets in touch. I'm catching a lot of stick with criticism of PC. I'm not seeing progress on the pitch. Surely a good manager makes bad players better. Are you seeing progress out there, Derek? Good question. And am I seeing progress out there? I think, as McCoy says, he has sympathy with the manager. I have a bit of sympathy as well. He did come in. I think he overachieved with the group of players that he had at his disposal. He had us all believing that Rangers would go on and win the league. Injuries, I think, certainly took their toll. And as the pressure sort of fell on the shoulders of the players. Unfortunately, they were unable to handle that. And we know what happened up at Dingwall and Dundee and the likes, the games against Celtic as well, which was hugely unfortunate. But unfortunately, it was also expected, you could say, as well. So, I think I'm a fan of the manager, I've got to say. I think he's got credit in the bank. Now, I know that I would like to see him. It's difficult, isn't it? He has said players need to move out the door before he can bring in players that he wants at his disposal. But for me, I don't know who would do a better job at this moment in time. You could go and get Pep Guardiola. Does he improve this Rangers team? I'm not entirely sure he could. So am I seeing progress out there? I get your point. No, is it the short answer to that? I would like to see progress. I think in the last, certainly at the weekend, maybe seen Rangers sort of were decent in patches. There is a slight improvement there, you could say, but again, it's all about personnel. At this moment in time, I don't think the personnel is good enough to carry out what Philippe Clement ultimately wants to see his team do. So, I don't think Rangers could go out and get a better manager that will improve things at this moment in time. But you can let us know in the comments, folks, if you disagree or not. Philippe Clement is not going anywhere. He's just signed that new deal as well, an extra year, an improved contract as well. So, and we heard what John Bennett had to say about the manager as well recently. So he is going nowhere. I don't think he's... I think he's doing the best he can, but I get your point. I would like to see more improvement, but it's difficult with the personnel at his disposal. Right, let's get to a host of questions that have come in here. Jamie Brown with the point. May have been said, but if we can swap Ridvan for Borna Mark II on less wages, that would work. Well, we're not selling Ridvan whilst he's injured, unfortunately. And again, I mean, injured taking a shot against Dynamo Kiev. It's typical Ridvan, wasn't it? Let's hope he's back, 4 to 6 weeks, the manager said in his press conference last week. But unfortunately, someone like many players at Rangers that have been injury prone and have just been plagued by injuries since he's arrived at the club. I like Ridvan, big fan of him, but we don't see enough of him. If we can get him moved on. I know he's been linked every transfer window with moves back to his homeland. He doesn't want to go back to Turkey, and he wants to stay at Rangers, but he's no use if he's on the treatment table more than he's on the pitch. But a Borna Mark II, I think Stevie summed it up. He's not ready for another Croatian. His name all sounds like Barisic as well, doesn't it? Domagoj Bradaric. But Rangers said to be keen on a loan deal for the Salernitana left back, 24 years of age, Croatian internationalist. Off the back of that, Jamie with the point, had you starting for the B team, why not play Cantwell and Egeman? He scored for the B team, didn't he, last week? I can't remember who they were playing. Scored a beauty of a goal, but I know there's the issue surrounding his contract and what have you, and a wage increase. But at this moment in time, he's there picking up a considerable amount of cash from Rangers and not featuring for the first team. I would like to see both Cantwell and Hadji, if they're still at the club, considered for the first team. They're employees of the football club, so they should be used until they are no longer employees. Colin William with the point says Clement has won 4 trophies. With 4 different spells at clubs. The guy knows what is needed to win a league. He needs time to build towards that. I agree with you, Colin. I think he's got enough credit in the bank. He did well. I know that Monaco didn't end as well as he would have liked, but I think he's shown at Genk and also at Club Brugge that he knows what he's doing. So, give him the tools and let's see what he can do. You can't do that. Gets back in touch. Clement seems intelligent and a good man manager. I do worry about him tactically, but the bigger concern is the finances. And Denzel as well. If Clement were to go, either by walking away or getting fired, you have to wonder what standard of manager would come your way. Given the circumstances, absolutely. And Colin gets back in touch. Says, Derek, are you concerned that going to Parkhead we'll see Tav against Maida? I fear Clement is not seeing what we all see with Tavernier. The right back's concerned. There's no doubt about it. I think Tavernier's in for a tough afternoon at Parkhead. If Rangers don't address that right-hand side, we would like to see... What do you do on the right-hand side? Do you play Czerny? I can't see him dropping James Tavernier. So he's going to play unless he gets injured. Do you double up, put Dujon Sterling out there to try and help him out? I would probably like to see that. Or as we've seen in the Cup final at the end of last season, I would like to see maybe Sterling at right back, maybe push Tav on one. It's not something we've seen really. And just tell Dujon Sterling to concentrate on nulling the threat of Maida and combining with Tavernier down that right-hand side. But yeah, he's looked off the pace, James Tavernier. There's no doubt about it. And yes, it is a concern going to Parkhead. And I'm sure that Brendan Rodgers will be targeting that area of the pitch. Both flanks probably. Rangers have been roasted down the flanks on trips to Parkhead in recent years. And yeah, that is something that Clement is going to have to sort out before we go there at the 1st of September, isn't it? The game get moved. So, yeah, that game will be around before we know it. And I do shudder at the prospect of going there with this Rangers team. So hopefully we can see a few additions before we go there. Bluebells are Blue says, Hadji has been again been announced in the B team, starting 11, second time in 3 matches now. Are we going to see the prodigal son return? I doubt it. It's going to take I doubt, as much as I say that he should be involved, I don't think we are going to see him in the Rangers. I'd be surprised to see him feature for Rangers again. And as you said, yet taking on Blackburn this afternoon, just that Rangers lineup, some interesting starters. Halliwell starting in goal, Devine, Hutton, Nsiala, Webster, Alan Curtis, Robertson, Edie, Hadji and Lowry. On the bench for the Rangers B team, Maguire, Alan Grant, McClure, NCO, Burnside and Gentle. So that match taking place at the Rangers Training Centre, 3 p.m. kickoff there between Blackburn Rovers and Rangers. You can't do that, gets back in touch. I'm getting tired of Tav getting 90 minutes every single game, no matter if he is the best option or not. Well, the manager touched on this at the pre-season training camp in the Netherlands when Chris was over. And he said that Goulton was still a Rangers player at the time and said he and Tavernier won't play as much as they've played in the past. But at this moment of time, he's playing every game, and it's all about managing his minutes. I think there's no doubt that he's not at his peak condition. As Denzel says, quite clear Tav is unfit, shouldn't be in the squad. Yeah. It's a concern. Right back, maybe as we touched on the questions a few moments, 10 minutes ago or so, about the more pressing area for Rangers to strengthen in is right back, an area you'd like to see Rangers strengthen. I think we all were of the view that Tavernier would be moving on. That has gone quiet. It was a surprise, incidentally, when I went down to that Birmingham game to see him start for Rangers. Only lasted for the first half, and it looked then that he was a player that was behind in terms of fitness and match sharpness. And yeah, it was my view that Dujon Sterling would emerge as his long-term replacement. He's another one that's been plagued with niggling injuries. But do you think, despite Ridvan's injury at left back, should be Rangers be looking at improving the right back position and bringing in someone, even if it's on a temporary basis, just to sort of beef up that area of the pitch? Because you get Sterling, you've got Tavernier. I know Leon King has played out there at times. I'm not entirely sure he's the long-term option going forward. I think more of a stopgap more than anything else. But yeah, I think it's something that will be on Clement's mind, especially with that big game coming up. JD, just on Tav. Tav looks like he's Tom Stoltman. It does look, it's fair to say he's not at peak condition, but it could just be the toll of playing pretty much week in, week out for the last, he's been at Rangers. He's now in the joined in 2015. He's very rarely been injured. He's been a tremendous servant to the club. But yep, time creeps up on us all, and age, he's not getting any younger. So maybe I think we have seen the best. Well, there's no doubt about it. We've seen the best of James Tavernier in a Rangers jersey. Bluebells are Blue says, plays an unfit Tab, but won't play Cherney for 20 minutes in the Champions League. Baffles me. Yeah, that was a strange one last week. I've got to say, I would like to have seen him start the game. And yeah, it was just a really disappointing night at Hampden, wasn't it? For me, the decision from the referee kills it as a contest. It's an utterly baffling decision. But yeah, selection-wise, I know there was a few raised eyebrows at the team that the manager put out there. Right, that'll do us there, folks. That's the questions finished for today. But thank you as ever, for your support to the channel and also for firing the questions in. That is much appreciated. Just a reminder, I know that so many of you are subscribers to the website, but if you aren't, we're running that flash sale. It ends at midnight tonight, but we're offering an entire year subscription over on the website for just £12. Head over to rangersreview.co.uk/subscribe to sign up. And if you put in Clifford10 in the promotion code section, then you'll get an extra 10% off as well. So it'll cost you £10.80 as opposed to £12. Right, that'll do us there. Big thanks to you all as ever. And yeah, we'll be back on tomorrow morning. See you all then. Bye for now.